Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I just wanted to discuss, as you guys can tell by my thumbnail, so I did have my baby and she is gorgeous, beautiful, everything that I imagined and pictured her to be. Her name's Presley James. She is the light of my life. She is amazing. But so this video I just wanted to talk about my labor and delivery process. Yeah, I just wanted to because it definitely did not go as planned. So I definitely wanted to tell you guys the story about how it went, and especially for first-time mothers, what to expect or anything like that. So yeah, if you're interested in this kind of video, just keep watching. Okay ladies, so I have my phone because it has notes on it so I don't leave anything out. How it all started, her due date was supposed to be January 19th. Sometimes the doctors told me it was going to be the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It was just varied, you know. They didn't give me a solid due date really. But we were going on the 19th goaling at the 19th because that was Colin's grandfather's birthday, and so we were just hoping that she would share that birthday with him because her name her middle name was after him, so we just thought that would be amazing. But that didn't go as planned. So on January 10th I was hanging out with my youngest sister, and we were wanting to go hang out with our older sister. We were driving to her house and I was hanging out with them. We were just chilling. They just got Taco Bell. I was exhausted, so I stayed at her house, my older sister's house, while they went to go to get Taco Bell. And so I was just chilling on the couch. They came home and I just started eating, and it was crazy because this is an important thing that I almost left out. So one of the things that was going on that day was I was having contractions, and it was crazy because I never had, you know, early contractions or false labor kind of pains at all. I had a very steady pregnancy, and I knew how my body was reacting, and so I could tell that they were contractions by the feeling of them. And then so I downloaded a contraction app, and it was I was just timing everything, and they weren't close apart. It was just sporadically throughout the day. My little sister was also keeping track of it, and I would tell her when I was having one and when I wasn't. Anyway, so throughout that whole day I was having contractions, so I was just kind of ignoring them just because they weren't like I said, they weren't close together, so I just thought they were just false contractions or early contractions. I don't really know. I just knew that I didn't think that they were anything important. So I was eating my Taco Bell. They got home. I was eating my Taco Bell, and all of a sudden I had a contraction, and then I felt a pop in my uterus or my vagina or wherever it was. I just knew I had a pop down there, and so I just paused, and my sister was like, what? And I was like, I don't know if my water just broke, I don't know what just happened, but I just had a really mega pop down there, and I don't know what it is. And so my older sister was like, okay, let's go to the bathroom, let's check it out. And there was a little bit of fluid in my panty line, and I thought I had my water broke a couple of weeks before that. Turns out I just peed myself, but me and Colin still went to the hospital, find out it was just pee. And so I thought it was the same exact thing, but it wasn't as much. It was just a little bit. And I had a little bit of bleeding as well, just mild brown blood. And we looked it up, and it was a sign of water breaking. And so we called the doctor. And this was late at night. This was around 7-ish, 8 o'clock. And we called the OBGYN, and they were just like, yeah, we just recommend her coming in just to check her out, because if my water did break and I didn't think it broke, it could cause an infection down there if I waited a couple of days or a few days after it happened, and it could cause a infection. But I just did not want to go. I was so upset because my sister had her 2 kids, and then she also had her nieces with her as well. So we had a full house of just kids, and I just felt bad because Taylor called, my older sister Taylor, she called her mother-in-law or her sister-in-law, I forget which one it was, but she called them saying, hey, I need to drop them off. We're taking her to the hospital. We think her water broke. And in my head, I was just like, guys, I really don't think my water broke. And I just feel bad that we're doing all of this work and we're going to find out that it's not anything serious. So my younger sister was driving me to the hospital while my older sister was taking the kids to whoever was supposed to be watching them. And my little sister, we were just jamming out to the radio, acting like nothing was happening. I was having contractions and they were kind of starting to pick up a little bit, like pain tolerance wise. Like they weren't hurting at all. They were just not comfortable. And so I just knew that I was just like, oh dear, like my contractions were kind of getting a little stronger and Raymond was seriously just cruising. So I think we were like 15 minutes away from the hospital, so we were pretty close. So I was glad that I was with them because I live an hour and a half away from the hospital that we wanted to be at because it was close to family. So we got up there and they checked me into a room, and my sisters finally got into my room and they checked me to see if my water broke, and how they do that is they have to swab inside my, I believe, cervix, maybe, I don't know, but inside my vagina, and they had to check to test out the certain liquid that normally the water break consists of or whatever, I guess. So they finally did that, and like less than 5 minutes, they were like, yep, your water broke. And when they told me that, my heart just dropped. And I was just frustrated because I was just like, no, it can't be the day, because I was not ready. I was terrified. And so they told me, we called everybody. We called Colin because he was home sleeping because he works third shift. So he was still sleeping because he doesn't go in until 11, and this was around 9 o'clock. And so surprisingly, he answered pretty fast because normally he sleeps through everything. And so we called him, and he had to rush down and finally come to the hospital. And like I said, he lives an hour and a half away from the hospital that we were at, so it took him a little bit, but he made it. And so my whole family's in my room, and I felt so loved and stuff, and I wanted the bathtub. They only had one room that had the bathtub, and I planned on wanting to use it. However, when they checked my cervix area, they like pretty much popped my water to break. I don't know if that's the actual way to say it, but my water broke while they checked me, and fluid was just going crazy. They had towels underneath me. They had not a diaper, but like a towel in between my leg to catch all the fluid. It just kept going and going, and they were like, are you sure you want the bathtub? And I was like, nope, not anymore. I feel like I'm in the bathtub now, and I'm getting grossed out thinking that I would be in a bathtub full of this fluid. So I'm fine as it is. So we're just chilling, and a couple hours go by, and my contractions are not strong at all. They're just like irritated. I'm gonna like describe them as irritated, strong cramps that I'm not used to, because my period before I got pregnant was so easy. It only lasted 3 days, and so I'm not used to cramps at all. I barely had cramps when I had my period. And so they started feeling like menstrual cramps, my contractions were, and I was having contractions not close together, but I was dilating really well. And even the nurses, they were just saying how they're surprised that I'm dilating as much as I am for how weak my contractions were. And so they were saying, so my doctor finally came in, and he was just like, I recommend you getting the epidural as soon as you can, just in case your contractions do get stronger, because the person who is supposed to give me my epidural, he leaves around midnight, and it was around 9-10 o'clock. And so the sooner you get it done, the better chance of him actually being here to give it to you. Because if you're too far along with contraction or dilations, like, you can't get it. And I was already at 5 centimeters, and I was like, I'm not even, like, they're not even strong. And so I was worried that if I get it too soon, that my contractions will, and then the epidural will get worn off during the labor. So I was just freaking out that it wasn't gonna last long. I don't know if my guy was just really good at giving an epidural, but legit, I was terrified when I found out that the epidural needle is like 9 inches long and it's huge and it goes into your spine, all this kind of stuff. And the fact that I was only 5 centimeters long and my contractions were not even strong, I was just terrified because I was just like, it's gonna fucking hurt, scream, yada, yada, yada. Like I said, this is my experience. This is what happened to me. But when he gave me my epidural, it legit did not hurt at all. The only thing that was like about it is that the spine, like the needle going in between my spine or beside my spine, I don't really know where the needle goes, but where it went, it felt like my teeth were grinding from where like the needle was going. And so I was just like, ew. It was just an irritated kind of feeling I was dealing with. But I didn't even feel the needle going in. He said it'll feel like a bee sting. It didn't even feel like a bee sting. So I don't know if they numbed me really good before he put it in or what. But like, I was pretty proud of myself and I feel like I took it like a champ. Like I was like squeezing the nurse's hand, but I didn't have to at all. And so I just felt like I took it like a champ. And the needle, I'm gonna go through a vaginal labor. I need to act tough with these small baby ass needles. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm gonna go through a much more pain. Pills are not gonna be anything than what the pain I'm gonna go through. So, a couple of hours went by and they aren't going as fast as they were wanting them to go. So Pitocin, which is pretty much like oxytocin. So what that kind of injection is, so oxytocin is supposed to be like a false hormone to give to women in labor just to speed up the labor and speed up the contraction. So they gave me not a lot of Pitocins, but they gave me Pitocin to speed up my contractions. And the epidural, like, it is cracking me up because you see this monitor that tracks your contractions and you just see it, and I see that I'm having contractions, but I could not feel it at all, and I was loving it. And they were like big ass contractions, where like my contractions that I was having, they were like beep beep beep, where these ones were like so you could tell that they were strong contractions. And so I was so happy that my epidural was like going through it. I was able to take a nap, everything. Like I was falling asleep because I was exhausted. And I was hungry. I was eating chips like crazy. They were giving me fluids like crazy because I haven't eaten. And I was just swelling up like a damn blueberry. It was crazy. So we were with my family, and then all of a sudden nurses just came in, and it kind of scared me because there was a lot of them, and they were just like, Hunter, we have to position you. The baby's heartbeat, she was at, let me get my notes real quick. Leslie's heartbeat was at 155 and it dropped to 70. And so the nurse is saying her heartbeat is decreasing, so we need to position you. They flipped me to my side. They put a pillow in between my legs and her heartbeat went back up. They also had to put some sort of wire inside of me, and it was a kind of wire, like it was an actual wire, and it was a more accurate thing for us to read her heartbeat, because they put a monitor over your stomach to check the baby's heartbeat, but that's just like, it's not as accurate as the wire going into the vagina of what they did to me. So knowing that they're picking up her heartbeats dropping, they started to get kind of concerned. And then when they find out that I was 8 centimeters long and I wasn't where I was supposed to be at all to push, they were starting to consider a C-section. And I was just like, that is not part of my birthing plan. I am not wanting to do that. And so I just started getting overwhelmed. And then I was laying back down. They came back in. Her heartbeat was at a 145 and it dropped all the way to a 40. And so they put me on all fours, and my whole area was exposed, and my father was in there, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my whole family was in that room. And I just told the nurse, I was like, please let them leave. I don't want them in here. I don't want them looking, like seeing me like this. And the fact that they're telling me my baby's heartbeat was that low. It was starting to freak me out. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. She's fine. It was just a scary situation, and when I'm scared, I kind of want to be by myself. At the moment, I don't want people touching me. I don't want people near me. And so they kicked everyone out, even Colin. And so her heartbeat went back, but they had to put me on oxygen. And so I wanted Colin to come back into the room and tell him that I just want to take a nap because I was exhausted. I had an oxygen on me. I just felt so overwhelmed, and I was just so tired. And so just like, okay, so I just fell asleep. I just got knocked out. And then all of a sudden I just heard noises and like people like moving me, and I had my eyes still closed, and then they woke me up, and this was like around like, I think it was like 5 or 6 something. I didn't go to sleep until 4, I believe, in the morning. And so they woke me up around 5:45ish maybe. I don't really know when they woke me up. I'm trying to see when they woke me up according to when she got delivered. But they're like, Hunter, we have to go into an emergency C-section. The baby's heartbeat is going a lot farther down, so we need to remove her as fast as possible. And so I still have my oxygen. I have no idea what's going on. They're pushing me into the emergency room or the surgery room. I guess they said room 301 going into the OR, or the surgery room, and my whole family hears that in the waiting room. And so Colin, my mom and his mom all get up real fast, and Colin's like, let me in, I'm the father of the baby, let me in. And so they let him in, and then he went closer to the surgery room, and so a nurse stopped him and like put her arm on his chest and said, sir, you can't be back there. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, she's already in there, you can't be back there. So I was wide awake all by myself. He wasn't allowed to be in there with me since it was emergency C-section. They had to hurry up and cut me open and everything. So I'm laying down on my back. They have my arms like this, I feel like, and they're putting some numbing stuff in me. I don't really know what all they did to me, but before they started cutting, I had to be fully numb. And my OG was just like, we have to cut her now. And the anesthesiologist was like, no, we have to wait 2 minutes for the numbing thing to be accurate. Because if I'm not fully numb, I'm going to feel every cut that they're going to give me, which scared me. And so I had a nurse with me, and she was like playing with my hair. Well, I didn't have a hair net on. Well, I had a hair net on, but she was just like playing with my hair net, and she's like, it's okay, it's okay. And I'm just like freaking out, and she's like, just take deep breaths. And then all of a sudden I just started shivering. And it was just, the nurse told me I was just in shock. I was just, I felt so cold. I felt like I was having hypothermia. I just felt not myself, and it was scaring me. And she's like, you're okay, just keep breathing. And then my OBGYN was just like, Hunter, can you feel that? And I'm like, feel what? And it turns out he was already cutting me. And everyone thought that was hilarious. So they were like, okay, it's working, just go. And so I don't know what it was, but they were getting really close to my uterus, and I felt like something was burning me, and I was screaming. I could just hear, I don't know how loud I was screaming, but I was yelling, and I was just like, that's hurting, you need to stop. And like, they told me they had to keep going, and I don't know what it was that was hurting. I don't know if it was the catheter, and they were just putting pressure on it, and it was hurting me because I had a catheter in. But I just felt like they were just chopping me up, and I was just like, oh, it was horrible. I mean, it wasn't bad up until that point, and then the fact that I was not, like, Colin wasn't with me, it just made me very sad. Anyway, so, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, why am I getting emotional? I feel like I need a tissue. Oh, I'm getting emotional, my god. Anyway, so the moment that you just feel, so they push on your stomach when you have a C-section, they push your stomach so they can pull the baby out. And I felt so much pressure coming out, and I just felt like, whew, I can breathe. And then I heard her crying, and I seriously was just like, oh my god, is that her? And I was still in shock that I had a baby just come out of me. I felt like, I don't know, I felt so, it was crazy. It was the craziest feeling ever. And then all of a sudden I saw her laying there getting cleaned off. She's still crying. She had the strongest cry ever, and like good, and that she was really healthy. And so they put her on me, like her face was touching my face, and she just stopped crying because this is what the nurse is saying. They're like, oh, she knows that she's by her mommy, and like the fact that they're like, oh, mommy, like I was like, I'm a mom. Oh my god. My god, I am so emotional, and I'm not even pregnant anymore. Like, what's up with these hormones? So it was probably cringy to watch, to be honest. My god. So she stopped crying, and I was just giving her kisses, and she was just laying there, and she was so peaceful, and she was so swollen, and it was crazy. Like, is she a girl? Are you sure she's a girl? And they're like, yeah, she's a girl. So I was like, oh my god. And so they had to take her away from me so they can finish up putting stitches so Colin could meet her. So they called Colin back, and the nurse, she was like kind of new, and she went out with the baby, and she's like, oh, are you Colin? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, is that my baby? And she's like, yeah. And so he was in shock that she was finally here. And then so he was holding her while I was getting all stitched up, and like all I felt was just numb, and I was just laying there, and all I could was thinking, I was saying this out loud. I was just like, I can't believe I'm a mom. She's so pretty. Isn't she pretty? I made a pretty baby. She was beautiful. All this kind of stuff, talking about her. And they were like, yeah, she's gorgeous. And I was so numb. My right arm was more numb than my left, and they were like, Hunter, put your arm on your chest so we can lift you to the other bed. And they put my arm on my chest, and it flopped back over. And I was like, guys, I'm numb. I can't feel anything. And so they were pretty much dead weighting me, because there was like 4 nurses, and I'm like 200, like at that moment I was 260 pounds, I believe. And these 4 small baby nurses are probably taller than me, and they're having to lift my heavy dead ass weight because I'm numb. I can't move. And I'm just like, what is happening? And I felt so drugged up. I don't know if I was or not. I felt drugged up. And so they sent me to the room, and I had my eyes closed, and I don't know if I fell asleep or not. For like 2 minutes, and I was in a dead sleep. And then all of a sudden, like, I opened my eyes up because I heard Colin's voice, and I looked, and then I saw Presley in a little incubator because she was getting, I don't know if she was getting shots. I forget what they were doing to her. But I was just like, oh my god, I had her already? He was like, well, yeah. And I legit didn't, for a slight second, I didn't remember giving birth to her. And I was just like, what? I had her already? And I was just like, oh my gosh, yay. And I just felt so relieved, and I just felt so much love in my heart. And like, it's crazy that when you think you're not ready at all, and then all of a sudden when you actually have the baby in your arms, you just get all this love and readiness all up in you, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I am able to do this. I have to do this. And I have so much love for this baby already that I want her to be the healthiest and the best. I don't know, like, I just felt like a mom. And it's crazy how that just hits you right when you see the baby, because, hi guys. So I clearly had to bring the baby. She was fussing. You guys get to finally meet her. She might be fussy a little bit because she just woke up from a nap. This is my baby. It is my baby. She's looking at the ceiling like. After we had her, all of our family members were able to meet her. And so everyone met her. Yeah, everyone met you, huh? But she had a good amount of jaundice. Like, she was so jaundiced that, so we left, and we left the hospital. And we had to come back from the hospital and stay there for 2 more days because she had to be in there for jaundice, huh, sissy? Cassidy, say hi. Hi. She's memorized by the light on the ceiling, huh, sissy? Okay, so I put her back down, but I hope my story helps for the moms who are nervous or anything like that. But yeah, so I really hope that you guys enjoy the video, and I really hope for the first time moms who haven't given birth yet, I hope this video didn't scare you, but just to prepare you guys on like what's the journey ahead is. If you guys did like this video, just give me a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel to help me build my channel, because I don't know, I just love being able to talk to you guys about the pregnancy and all this kind of stuff. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys.